All right.
All right, everyone.
Hold on.
That's fine, man. We're
Welcome to the show.
welcome to the show. Yes, we've been meaning to do this for a long time, just to shoot the crap, I guess. Talk in front of the cameras and talk about marketing and just our life experiences. We will only talk about things that we know, not necessarily what we don't know. So we'll start. So yeah, social media marketing. How long have you been doing this? Since
I guess serving client-wise is definitely getting 3 years. Yeah, 3 years probably.
3 years.
I mean, we did the photography and the he&I stuff for like 2 years before that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count that. That's just being stupid. But it was good experience. I guess got the foot in the door in some sense. But yeah, 3 years.
3 years. So for those who don't know, how did we actually start? So we started with a ballet school, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we started, I remember I didn't know how to edit videos. Shoot videos. I knew how to take pictures.
That's right.
For sure.
Yeah, only Isaac was editing.
Yeah.
Only Isaac.
I was just dumping everything to Isaac. I got more videos.
And I wasn't that good at editing. I mean, even now it's like some of our editors are better than me. So.
But that was our start, really. That's where. So we started as a volunteer for the school.
Yep.
And
work for free 99.
Yeah, work for free, and there was a need because the school was having some difficulties with the financial aspect. So we stepped in just to help, really, just a pure heart of helping.
Yeah.
And we didn't know anything about marketing, but we knew what we knew is the Gary V, we've been watching contents basically.
Yeah.
And so you want to talk about that? Like, how did we start using that element?
No, you're talking about like the content model?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Gary Vee shared his how to do social media content model, like 100-page deck or whatever. So yeah, we just looked at it. It's like, oh, okay. So he said take really long stuff and chop it into small pieces. And for the, I guess the client that we were serving at that time, since they had a lot of classes, which were on average 90 minutes long to 2 hours. It just made sense to just record and then take whatever we can from those classes and use it as a content. And I think one of the things that I guess at the time that we saw pretty clearly was the white space of the lack of content in the ballet industry.
Yeah,
and it's still it's changed a lot now. I mean, there's a lot more like tips and like lots of exercise based stuff. Like do this to get better XYZ, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a huge white space. You know, for the most part in that industry, everyone's just posting pictures and not doing much beyond that. And even for us, I know there's so much more we could do. Whether it's around a personal brand like Run Shall Do Ballet Coaching or like an actual school. I don't think we're even at like 50% capacity of what we could potentially do for clients. And of course, that's because we have limitations and there's only so many Isaac and Josh. There's two of us on the forefront in terms of filming content. And then now, of course, on the back end, we have editors. But yeah, sorry, what was the question? How we got into it?
Yeah, how we got into it. Yeah,
that's pretty much how we started.
I think, and yeah, that's true. Honestly, in the beginning, we just copy pasted what we thought it was.
Copy pasta.
Like, I mean, we had our intuition. I thought, like, that makes sense. Like, basically, social media is basically creating a relationship. That's how I think about it. So if you're frequently in front of that person's face or presence, then you're more likely to have a closer relationship with them. If that content or if that presence is like applicable for them, right?
Right.
Pleasant for them.
Yeah.
So that's how I thought, like, yeah, even we didn't know anything about marketing. We were learning, like we were, buying a lot of courses and reading, reading a lot of books. We were developing ourselves, but the core of it was, I think, really understanding that this is creating relationship, and that's how we thought about
Yeah.
it, I think. And when was it like period where this kind of blew up for for both our experience and for our client, like for our first client? When was that time?
Right off the bat, the first video we did, it got like 30,000 views. Um, we didn't know what we were doing, but I did know how to contextualize it for Instagram in the sense of not just like dimensions. I mean, at the time, things were different. There were no reels or anything like that, but it was like it's like a quote based type of video. It's like there's quote at the top and then the video. I forget what I put, but that initially, just seeing that, we saw the huge potential in video format content for ballet industry specifically. So I think that was a good start, and for us to see, what was the question? To see the potential. Yeah, it was very consistent in terms of engagement for the content that we're putting out.
Yeah.
Of course, we had essentially a golden goose to work with, Mr. Du. He's very good on camera, and he shares a lot of great knowledge. I think that is a huge factor when it comes to content creation. Obviously, just like in like Korean dramas or movies, if the actor sucks, then the content sucks too. There's only so much that you can do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I kind of forgot about actually the first three like posts that blew up. I was thinking about more of the when the pandemic hit. We started doing the live. That's a good point.
right.
Yeah, I think.
Because it was like what, 6 months before the pandemic.
Was it
Almost a year.
almost a year before? Yeah. We were pumping really hard on the content, and they were doing well. And I think even on the advertisement side, I think we were doing okay. Like in terms of
The tracking wasn't perfect, but at the end of the day, we were able to exceed the previous year's numbers with the limitations that we had. So I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
There. But yeah, going along with what you were saying, I think seeing those results initially helped us see the potential during the pandemic. I think if we didn't have
that's true.
those experiences prior to the pandemic, we would have been like everyone else, like, oh, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do? Type of deal. So seeing things blow up helped us see that, okay, this works, and because we're adding the element of pandemic, there's this thing that's missing in the world, which is obviously any form of education, because everyone was stuck at home. So yeah, I think that kind of just took it to another level.
Yeah. And like, I think this is an interesting thing for us, like, because we had such a positive experience, we were very confident in what we were doing. So like, I talked to one guy from church. So he tried social media marketing, but he had a totally different experience where
Who's this?
Bob or Rob. It's from Chongpyeong. Like,
okay.
From a guy from Korea
Yeah.
we met through a workshop. So he tried social media for a construction company. He did so poorly, so that he just gave up. After he just returned the money, and then like he didn't want to touch any social media marketing at all. So just reflecting on that, like what are the pros and cons of having a good experience first, like on a first experience basis? There are pros and cons, really. Like,
Yeah, I mean, pros is it gives you confidence.
yeah,
The con is you get cocky.
you get cocky. Yeah,
you think this shit will work forever. I think in social media, what the biggest challenge is. I mean, of course, the core of it stays the same. The principle of giving, and I think the longer you can hold your breath, which is something that we did with that particular brand, and we've seen what happens right after, once you start asking, if you've given for like 2 years straight. So the pro is you do get a lot of I think encouragement and like self-confidence, like, and also validation. I think more so validation.
Yeah.
That this shit can work.
Yeah.
Like social media is a thing that can work. The con is, I think, well, throughout the past year, I think something that we realize is that you can't copy and paste the same method for every single client.
Yeah.
The principle and the core of, like, finding pillar content and then chopping as much as possible can work, and it does help keep things structured a little bit. But at the end of the day, even though they might be talking to the same avatars, they have different voices, and I think that's just something out of having a big win in the early stages, and also just being naive of those elements. Just kind of overlook the fact that we need to make sure we customize it to a certain extent for the client. But at the end of the day, it's like volume, quantity over quality.
And also, the first client we had a different pain point. Like, I think they were in a different position compared to other small businesses. So
That's right, yeah.
they had enough finance to kind of
Yeah, they had runway.
they had a runway for about, like, the board member of the school gave them like 3 years to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
So I think for those type of clients, I think they have more patience. But I think what we realized recently is that not all clients have that kind of cushion, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they do need the sales right away. So yeah, I think that's why we kind of are right now contemplating like whether we should just go full organic or we should mix up a little bit with ads so that they get the quick wins. And I think that's the current challenge as a content creator. Content creating agency.
Yeah, because organic content. I think even if you do it right, it just takes a long time.
Takes a long time, yeah.
And some people don't have the patience for that.
Right. And sometimes for over past 3 years, the algorithm has changed a lot, or whatever you want to call it. It's like the priority that each social media has always changes. So you have to constantly understand that too. And that was a challenge too, I think. Like things that worked 2 years ago doesn't work anymore.
Right.
And then we have to switch up a little bit.
Yeah, while we're on the topic, I guess we can talk about some of the trends that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
That's different from before. So one of them is like Instagram. We have a client that just went bonkers from 1,000 followers to almost 200 now, I think.
Yeah, 198, I think.
In a matter of less than a month. It's still less than a month. So what that shows us is the of course Instagram has been doing a lot to try to I'm not speaking for Instagram, but this is just my own observation that they're just basically copying TikTok, right? With the short form videos, because before we used to have IGTV. Yeah, I mean that was like probably a year ago, where you had longer form videos.
Yeah,
and then they shifted into like 10-15 second videos
so fast now,
and then they extended to have longer reels now, so it's just like kind of going a full circle. It's just different dimensions. I think that's just interesting for us because the amount of engagement those content are getting for that particular client is based on interest more so than followers. So I mean the fact that you had 1,000 followers and got 4 million views on a single video is
crazy.
Not normal for Instagram. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's not normal for Instagram because you couldn't, very much likely you would never do that.
Yeah.
It was only reserved for the people who had a ton of engagement.
Yeah. I mean, we can give a comparison like that client. So it's a chiropractor and acupuncturist client. So it just became bonkers. But on the other the other side of that example, it will be our Mr. Do, the other account where it gradually grew. So we started like last year-ish, right? August.
Yeah, about 16 months ago.
16 months ago, we started with 1,000. Now it's around 100,000. But we never had that
Huge
crazy
spike,
amount.
yeah.
But we might have like 1 million, like one video that hit million,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But it was very gradual, and so those are two different examples, I think, where people can observe. Where one grows very gradually because that was like the former kind of priority that the Instagram held. Now it's like they're just trying to copy exactly like TikTok.
Yeah.
So where it just explodes.
Right.
But I think it's good and bad. I think for the gradual growing, you get the more focus on the audience. I think like you have a more specific audience that pays attention to it, as opposed to like that growing fast audience. Not necessarily all the audience that you pick up from the views are your ideal audience. So there's good and bad, I think.
Yeah, and I think it also has to do with the topic, right? The one is ballet, and it's classical ballet, and then even further, it's like the Vaganov method. So it's like very, very specific. So just in general, the audience is a lot smaller than the acupuncturist who talks about the one that blew up was about a scarf. So.
Yeah, I think it did blow up because
it's more relatable.
And it was almost outside of acupuncture. Acupuncture is so narrow. We've been hitting like a lot of contents with these clients, just centric on acupuncture. It didn't go well, right? So I think one thing we can learn from this is that sometimes like if your niche is too narrow, to do some broad stuff as well, so that you mix a little bit on both. And while you get the big audience from the broad content, and mix up with the more specific content for your specific industry, then you can kind of filter the right audience over time, I think. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just looking at how many posts we've done.
Oh yeah.
We have done probably over 600 posts for her.
Yeah.
So it was over a year of posting content before we had any substantial engagement. Of course, I think one of the reasons why it took a year is because the volume of content wasn't as high.
That's true.
And we also, we focused so much on just acupuncture and chiropractic stuff and like Chinese medicine for that particular client. So it was so specific the whole time. We tried to broaden it a little bit with like pain related stuff, but ultimately, I think the lesson for us was that when you try random stuff, sometimes those work really well. Yeah. More so, I mean, some things that you would never expect. Yeah. Like scarf. Why? All right. The tiles one, and then multiple.
Oh yeah, the tiles one. The tiles ones are really funny because the acupuncture, the doctor basically said, only Asians might relate to it. But if you look at the thread of the whole comments, it's like Indians, Pakistani, other countries.
Lots of different culture coming together.
It was so funny to watch. Like, wow, this is relatable.
So it's like the idea of like, oh, I just want to talk about what I know. Yes, you should, but I think it's like sometimes you can expand to other things to test, and that's what allows. That's what having a high volume content marketing strategy allows for. To test these things. Of course, you can be a lot smarter with testing with different ways if you have some level of engagement already. But if you have no engagement at all, I think it's just like, you just gotta hit as much videos as possible. We would encourage primarily videos from our experience over graphics. That's not to say pictures and graphics don't work. We have seen, it does work. We found a book account that just reviews books, and it's just pictures of books with highlighted text, like actual not even like a graphic of highlighted text.
100,000 followers just for and a lot of engagement too. It's not just like like empty reactions. It's like people actually like it.
There was a lot of value in that. It saves people a lot of time.
That is true. There's a value.
Just like if you have no engagement, which is kind of like our account right now, you just gotta push out a ton of videos, And you can be smart about it, right? You can, because ultimately what we're trying to do with our videos is not just, our main goal isn't to get engagement and followers ever for any of our clients. It's to build trust. And so to build trust, we got to give them what they need to some degree. And that's where I think the creativity comes in from our experience. It's just like, how do you present the same materials in different ways? And of course, we could be a lot more creative with our clients too, to some extent, because I think there's also a downside of doing high volume, right? Because you're just trying to push so much volume, you sometimes
overlook
a lot of things, and then
or going that like tunnel vision of just one thing.
yeah. So there are pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
But I think it's far better than just posting once a month.
Definitely. So let's say if you were to serve a doctor, Dr. Kaneda again from scratch, how would you do differently? So basically what we mean, if you were to grow an account that has like 100 followers from the start, and what would you do differently now that you know a lot of things?
Same thing. Focus on the platforms that will give you the results. Of course, YouTube has potential for a lot of engagement, especially if you're creating content for the purpose of like search-based content. So like how to, what is, why is type of stuff that you see on YouTube a lot. That could be one way to use that to your advantage, and those are a little bit more longer lasting than Instagram and Facebook, because once you post it and it gets engagement and then it's done, unless it goes viral, then it lasts a little bit. So YouTube will be definitely one of the top priorities. But Instagram and TikTok, even though Instagram is like quote unquote dying, I wouldn't say it's dying, but it's slowed down a lot. It's not as fast growing as TikTok. I don't know the numbers, what the numbers are anymore, but definitely focusing on Instagram and TikTok. And sometimes TikTok doesn't blow up. Sometimes Instagram does, even though you made the content for TikTok.
Yeah.
And then you start to get some. Ultimately, I think for any client, you want to get to the point of getting feedback loop, so that you're creating content based on feedback, not just out of thin air.
I think that's where the fun starts, really.
Yeah.
Until then, it's very difficult. You're talking
to no one.
You're creating content with a lot of guest games. Although we do a lot of research, right? We do, look a lot of contents on the Instagram or the platforms, basically, and also go through that little trend stuff that each platform has. Like TikTok has its own website where you can look at trends. We do those things, but sometimes even those, it doesn't hit right away. It takes a lot of time, and you're waiting for that algorithm to pick up too sometimes. Stuff like that. So it does take time over.
I think it's a lot easier now though. Because if you think about 2
that
years
is true.
ago, there's no trend. There's no trending audio or trending theme of a video that existed. So of course, at the same, some people complain, everything's just copy and paste. Yeah, well, if it gets business results, why does it matter? But it allows you to get initial engagement, at least, by utilizing those trending sounds and topics and whatnot, all those effects, so that you even have an opportunity for other people to look at your more important content, your more in-depth content.
That is true, because like toward the end of our first client, it was we're at the stage where Instagram was so matured to the point that engagement wasn't that hot, right? And
at that time, Facebook was bigger.
Facebook was, that is true. We had a lot of viral contents then, like with Facebook. But during that time, though, like we had another client centering on the chef, and that was like purely on just like reviewing other people's content or sound effects. And that blew up a lot. Like a couple of videos went like 6 million, I think 3 million, something like that. So that is a good point. Like TikTok gave everyone another chance to do the organic again, as opposed to really switching up everything to like ads, I guess, for small businesses.
Yeah.
Because like back then, the Instagram didn't do so hot, and
Right.
it wasn't picking up the right audience either.
Yeah.
It was like kind of dead. But now, the TikTok kind of shifted that momentum again for all platforms, actually.
I think even for ads too, it shifted a lot of the type of content that people use for ads. With TikTok, they use a lot of user-generated content as opposed to like fancy 15-second, 30-second ads. Where you,
can you explain that a little bit for people?
So like they would hire people who makes content on a, I guess, somewhat regular basis to like review their product or just essentially make an ad for them in their own style. So it gives the user, that's why it's called user generated. It gives the influencer or whoever you want to call it a lot more freedom. Because I think because we've been on both spectrums of creating ads for corporate that has to be pass through a lot of loops. Of course, we don't have that much experience in that realm because we just kind of stay away from it. Like TikTok changed the ads game a little bit too, in some sense. And also because things go viral, it also gives you an opportunity to use those as an ad too. We've tried this a few times as well, where something from Instagram went viral, like 500,000 views or something, or 1 million views, and I would use that exact content, and of course I would change the copy. I wouldn't use the same copy, but I would use that as an ad, and that would get like 3-4 times more clicks at a lower cost than.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, and then any other ad that I've done before, because I know it's already something that's that'll get engagement, and that's what ad platforms are looking for. I think for some extent, we're not. We're not super experienced on the ad side. We're not as strong as we are with organic content, but that's an observation that I saw. So like, just doing organic and seeing those things blow up. Then you have more data-based decision making with
definitely.
which creative to use as an ad, even though it may not necessarily present your product in the way that you want it to present it. But obviously, the audience has spoken that they do enjoy it in that format.
I guess that is one advantage, or like, basically a benefit that you have. When you create organics, you get that data point to create the correct ad, to spend less ad money to reach to more customers. So that's a good point too. And I think what do you call it? User generated
Content.
User generated content. Like even so in terms of our approach, what was the progression or changes we made along the way in terms of marketing? I guess more focus on small businesses that we have. I think we got more serious on the sales and direct ads, right?
I think so. Because in the beginning we just purely did just whatever Gary said, brand, content, and of course I think that's the most important thing. Even now, that hasn't changed. We haven't changed our mind on it. At the end of the day, brand matters more than anything. But we found out along the way that it's you can speed things up a little bit by having a proper sales system in place, by having like a lead generation, lead nurturing systems in place, by having specific follow-ups, because that reduces the need to think too much. I think once you systemize it and optimize it as much as possible, of course I'm not saying our systems are optimized to any degree, but because we have a framework, we know what to optimize. We're not just like flying blind every time, trying to figure out what we need to do next. So I think that's one of the elements that really changed more recently, even in the last 3 months, honestly.
Do you think as a marketing agency it's necessary to go that deep, like from like content to sales?
Depends on which way you're thinking from, as an agency or from the client's perspective.
I think a little bit of both, because ultimately if we don't make our clients money, then we're
fired.
we're fired. Yeah. No matter what you want to, claim
Yeah.
it as.
I think it's important to know. You may not necessarily need to get in there, depending on how you deliver your service. And, it just depends on the type of clients you have, too. But if we're talking about small business that depends on cash flow, which is like pretty much all business, to thrive and continue, I think you can't ignore it. I think that's just ignoring the elephant in the room.
Yeah. And I mean, you did mention before too, like, yeah, if you vet the potential client or prospect
Yeah.
better, then
Yeah.
you have less chance of having this problem of where you're doing really great on content, but there's no sales because
Right,
nobody's following up
right.
and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
But yeah, that is one of the things that we learned too. But sometimes we don't have choice. I think sometimes we have to kind of dip in to help.
I think so.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, that gives us more value to the customer. And having a little bit more control on that side of things gives us a little bit more leverage, I think. But for as an agency, it's really hard to scale if you go too much into too many different things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we are at. Right?
Yeah.
Do we do just content or do we help? I guess it's more of a percentage question. Like,
Yeah.
what percent of the clients should be this and that type of deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then so for people, small business owners, this is for them. How do we find ideas and how do we use it?
Dude, just spend 4 to 5 hours on TikTok, okay? That's what Gary would say. I think, well, ultimately that is the answer, but we can, I guess, go into a little bit more detail. You can do it based on your own interest nowadays too, right? Not just in the industry. I'm talking about like if you love cats and like you like corn, like the corn kid. Chipotle is really smart for using them. They're really, really good at marketing, like being on top of trends.
Can you explain that corn part? So
Corn? Yeah, so that was like a cultural phenomenon almost on TikTok. Because TikTok goes viral based on sound a lot and music. The corn kid, I think someone made his video into an actual song and then people use that over and over again. I mean, the video itself went viral, and then on top of that, people started using it, so it's just like double virality. And then Chipotle saw that opportunity to bring him in and actually make a very simple, using a phone, content that did millions and millions of views, and I'm sure they used that as an ad too. But yeah, just looking. I mean, because like your feed for TikTok particularly will be dependent on what your interests are. So for me, I see a lot of soccer. I see a lot of K-drama. I see a lot of sometimes anime because it kind of goes along with K-drama, I guess. Those kind of things and like weird memes and jokes that Josh never sees. Josh has a very different feed from mine. So in that sense, you can use your own feed to your own advantage. That can be a starting point, because even if you have only interest in like cats and dogs and whatever, there are sounds that people use broadly. That doesn't matter what topic your page is about or what your what your For You page is about. That's broadly used. So you can pick up on those patterns. It's honestly, it's just pattern recognition. You just have to be very quick about it, and you have to. The hardest part is taking the patterns that you see, whether it's sound or effects or styles of editing. The hardest part is to implement it actually into your own version of content. I think that's the hardest part. Even for our editors, sometimes it's hard to understand. Even for me, sometimes it's like I know of those trends. I know what's trending. I know the sounds and stuff. It's like. So, but making that connection between what's in front of you, which is like your own product, your own services, sometimes that can be a little bit challenging. But that's one way to start with researching trends, essentially, to look on TikTok and stuff like that. The other side is like you can make a sub account and build your own feed based on other things. that may not be your interest. It could be, but you don't have to do that. So that way you have a little bit more broader perspective of what's happening in terms of content on TikTok, particularly. And then the other side of away from TikTok is just looking at what people are asking. So you can use YouTube, just like type in what and like your topic, and then it'll give you a bunch of suggestions. That's one way to research things. The other thing is to go into other people's content and read through the comments. What are people talking about? What are they interested in? Why are they finding this interesting? And then attempt to make your own version, or just copy and paste it. Make your own version of it. All right. And I think if you have all those elements and you have a person good on the camera and who can make content well, then you have a good, nice package that you can do a lot with.
Yeah, I think so. And don't be discouraged when first time it doesn't go well, because even if you did completely exactly how it's ordered and how it's structured with the other videos, sometimes it doesn't hit.
Yeah.
And what other guys did, like what I see from other agencies too, like what they do is they use the same video, but they change a little bit of something. So for example, like the first 3 seconds, they change the hook, or they change the headline, or they change the copy or something. So I think sometimes you might have to test it a little bit. If you really feel good about your video and it doesn't hit the first time, that's something that you can do too, where you change a little bit of something so that it hits right away. So like the hook is important because of the whole TikTokification of the entire content. So you have to pay attention to the first 3 seconds and think, how can we attract them? Like sometimes you can be very clickbaity, but if you don't like it, you have to hook them up with a question or like an interesting fact or surprising incident, for example. So those are things that you have to kind of play around with. Yeah.
And it's not like these are new information. It's all out there already. If you watch enough content, you'll see a pattern. And that's something that we're trying to implement a lot too on our own stuff.
And so what motivates you to get up in the morning?
Payroll. That's what motivates me to get up in the morning. Payroll, making sure our people are paid. But aside from that, we do enjoy what we're doing. I think, even though sometimes it's rough, but ultimately we picked this. We picked our poison, right? No one told us to do this. That's not to say there aren't days of like having trouble getting up and getting to work,
being confused.
Getting started on work.
Like sometimes when I'm in a slump, what I do is I buy another course or a book to kind of start my ideas and try to think, okay, like this is what I missed before. Let's try this again. So that's how I want to pick up, like when I'm feeling down. But definitely there are times I'm like, Jesus, nothing works. What the heck? And those are very difficult times, but we eventually figure it out, I think.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of joy that comes from the process of figuring out. Of course, the end result is also exciting too, because I think we learn a lot along the way when we face a very challenging problem. And then we do our best to kind of like make that into part of our system of how we approach things. Like even recently, like I saw an ad about like how to sell more for adults for ballet schools. I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of in line with what I'm doing. And at the time, I didn't really have a solution of like increasing sales without depending on organic, right? Because some clients don't have that capacity, and they don't have all of that resources. So that jump started a lot of thinking about, sales process and something as simple as following up.
It's amazing, like how if you just follow up a little bit more than you're used to, your sales,
you get like 100% more results. And if you call right away, I know everyone's saying this, like, Alex Hormozi says, if everyone calls within 5 minutes, all their leads will triple their business. I think that's very true.
That's sound. That's really true. And that's something we recently realized, I think.
Yeah.
And also, I guess we can talk about some of the clients didn't work out with us, right?
Woo!
And if you think back, what were some of the mistakes, or what are some of the elements of the client's characteristics that didn't fit in? Or what's your perspective?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to blame everything on the client in those type of instances. Obviously, we did something wrong, so we can start with what we did wrong. In my opinion, I think communication is a huge part. Sometimes we don't voice. I don't voice. Josh is better at voicing what he thinks.
I'm too aggressive.
Sometimes I don't voice what I know is they need to hear. And then that gets delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and ultimately doesn't happen. Or it happens when it's too late. The other side is because we were so driven by organic content, we didn't really think too much about like what are the quick wins that we need to get this client so that they can trust us for a longer period of time, because organic takes a while. And sometimes organic doesn't work for months.
And people don't have capacity to wait.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Like I think this is something that we learned too from Alex Hormozi. Could you talk about the value equation?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just look at his video, man. I'm not gonna act like I know what he's talking about.
But that was very important for us.
Yeah. It's like time to value, right? Time it takes for the customer to experience some result. And what was encouraging about what he was saying is it doesn't have to be the exact end result that you're trying to get to. It can be even an emotional win.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely true, because even from my own experience, when I buy like courses or trainings or coaching, it's like within the first hour of buying, if I feel something, if I have a eureka moment, even if it's a little bit, it's like I stay with it a lot longer. And I don't think there has been a course where I didn't finish, because that's stupid. Why would you do that? Some people do that, right? Some people buy hundreds of courses and not finish it.
Yeah.
We try to be very selective about what we need at that moment and try to do it that way. Yeah.
And this is really not just for marketing. Like what Alex Hormozi talked about was really the equation of service, like how people value the service that they buy for a high price. Like marketing agency is not expensive, not cheap.
Yeah.
And like some of the gym programs are not cheap. So how do they keep coming back? Wasn't like the discussion that Alex had.
Yeah.
And that was really eye opening for me too. Like, oh, that's true. Because if you feel like uncertain for the first month with your service, then there's a very high chance that they will like keep doubting, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you want to kind of cancel out,
Yeah.
like right off the bat. Like you have to make sure like we are the right service provider for you. So that's why you have to stay with us, type of deal.
Right.
Although and then the clients we did that, I think, had a better positive outlook on our service. Yeah, I think. And also like really also discussing things that are necessary for them to hear is very important for us. I think that's a learning lesson, because I mean, we're humans. We want to be nice. We want to be labeled as a nice person, but ultimately why they hired us is to create the results. Sometimes we have to be very firm and kind of say, your focus is not right at the moment. And it hurts. I mean, for me too, it's not comfortable. I feel crappy afterwards too. But if I don't say this now, there's a high chance later that they'll consider firing us, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it comes down to how we deliver that too.
Yeah, you're right.
I think, but it's not always easy, because for us as an agency, we want to keep them as long as possible.
Yeah.
Right. For cash flow, for our brand, for our reputation, whatever. But like you said, sometimes we have to be a lot firmer with what we know, based on our actual experience, not just like something that we just pull out of thin air. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
What was that question again?
What motivates you in the morning?
Oh,
Went to all the different discussions.
payroll, man.
Okay, so last question, I guess, is what's the best moment / worst moment in our business? And we can start with the worst moment.
Worst moment? I don't know, man. I think you should tell that story.
So we had a big client, a corporate client, they're very strict. They're very picky too, and we did our best to be really careful with what we do. We had a shoot, basically a promotion for an ad, like specifically for YouTube, I think. And we shot well. We were happy. We came back home. The client was happy too. We came back home. There was something wrong with the disc reader or the SSD card, the hard disk, this memory card, and I didn't know how to solve it. So I went up online on YouTube.
It was like 11 p.m.
11 p.m. There's an Indian guy that had the same problem. So, okay, yeah, let's try this. And I've copy-pasted his steps. It's either I misunderstood the partitioning part of the hard disk. So I basically wiped out everything, and there's no way to recover, even with the software that you can buy to recover files. Because you basically disconnected the bridge between reading and writing. And then everything blew up. And we were in a very high stressful level.
Staying up until like 3 a.m. trying to figure it out. Didn't work. Next morning, I had to call the client. Hey, about that shoot, we got to redo it. But I think it was good that we redid it. It turned out 1,000 times better.
Yeah, we did better.
I think the mistakes that we made because just out of not knowing enough.
Yeah.
And lack of experience, because that was the first time that we did a big shoot. Just out of pure ignorance, we didn't know how to prepare for a shoot like that.
Yeah.
We didn't know all the elements that went into it.
Yeah.
We just thought, like we usually do, just show up with the cameras and kind of figure it out then. For those type of shoots, we learned that you have to prepare every single frame, everything you're shooting, as much as possible, so that when you do show up, because things will not work out the way you imagined 100% of the time, I think, with those kind of shoots. So at least you have a framework of like or guideline of what we need to do is within the short amount of time you're allotted. But it was a good experience. We learned a lot.
Yeah. You did mention we were very bold back then. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't BS through our like proposal or anything. We did describe what we can do, but the client was very nice too. We were lucky with that. But yeah, we were very bold. Like sometimes, this is the same client too. So, usually when I edit like videos, I use just before back then, like when I started recording, I just used like the simplest color profile of the video, so I didn't have to edit a lot.
Yeah.
But for this particular client, you have to use a big camera. You have to use the raw footage.
Yeah.
I learned how to color in 8 hours before the shoot.
Wait, really? You didn't know that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had to figure it out. But I had the foundations, right? Like because I used to edit pictures.
Right.
That's through raw files and all that. So I had some sort of knowledge, but oh man, that was stressful.
I mean, footage-wise, to this day, that has been one of the best shoots.
I think so. Yeah. Very
Highest
surprising.
pressure. I will never do those types. I mean, like casting actors and
That's
actresses.
difficult. Yeah.
There's so much stress for me.
Isaac did all of that. I didn't touch it.
Yeah, I was going crazy. My wife can tell you how crazy I was going.
Oh yeah.
Because out of pure ignorance and lack of experience. But I think, shout out to my friend John for giving us the at-bat to
definitely.
take on those kind of projects.
And that shows like the reason why like production companies charge a lot is because you have to involve a lot of people.
It's a lot of work.
It's not just us like setting up one light and be happy with it.
Yeah.
It's really like a
Like
bunch of lights.
If you want cheap stuff, you get cheap stuff. If you want really nice stuff, I mean,
you have to invest. And you have
spend
to pay
a
a lot because like the profit margin is not that big, I think. Like if you think about it.
All the equipment, all the rental, all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing we learned. And so what's one good thing, the highlight so far?
I guess for me, I have the greatest joy when our live streams go really well. I'm just so elated, so happy. It's just like so happy in that moment. It's like, wow, we're really doing this. For me, it's those moments. I think.
For those who don't know, live stream is a lot stressful than just recording videos.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you get to see the mistakes live. basically. So you're in a very, very high pressure,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and always like there's something that goes wrong, like either the
Always.
the computer freezes or the camera
It's
just
never the same
glitches.
problem.
Yeah,
live stream.
yeah, and
It's
then
never the same problem.
you have to know how to like solve the problem very quickly
Yeah.
too, and like I think that's why like you became very elated when those things go really right, because
Yeah. But it's just like, me working with my brother, me working with Mr. Do, doing those live stream. It's just like, our dynamic is very unique and enjoyable. So it's just like a combination of a lot. It's not just like, things are going well. I mean, that's one element, but it's just like, just being in that moment of like, wow, I'm working with my brother. Wow, I'm working with this really super, almost like a Superman. That guy has so much energy. Mr. Do has so much energy. Just like working with the right people, it's just, it's joy for me. And I guess that's why we enjoy what we do.
yeah, I think that's my highlight too. Working with people we kind of like.
We kind of like.
we love it. Like there's no, there was a few moments that we struggled, but like 99% of the time we just like click very well and synchronize very well.
Yeah.
And there's no one person that slacks off. So
Yeah.
when Isaac puts a lot of effort, I get motivated, or I get forced into being more serious and more committed, or try to find different extra solutions so that he doesn't get burnt out. For example, so
I'm not a candle.
so I think that's the highlight. Like it's like soccer game, really. Like you just go perform all out until you get super tired.
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of back and forth.
Right. You feed off of each other's energy. I think that's what makes our work enjoyable. I think if I did this by myself, it wouldn't be as enjoyable.
I wouldn't make any results. I'll get so lazy.
It's like a unsystemized way of accountability. But I think
yeah, definitely.
Working by yourself, like starting your own business by yourself versus with someone there is a very different game. Of course, there are dynamics that you have to consider. I think there's a lot of mistakes I made in the beginning about being too brash about my opinion, or like not considering Josh's opinion or feelings, or his position as much. Now we're much better.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, same with me. Like like not knowing your personal problems.
Yeah.
That extensively to the point that I'm judging you for certain performances.
What are you judging me?
I mean, I try to grow up too. Like try to be a bigger person too.
Yeah, I think family business is in general, or any partnership, is very hard.
It's hard, yeah. It's another marriage, basically.
It is. It really is. And you're trying to deal with a baby, which is the business, right?
Yeah.
Both of you want the baby to grow well and do well and be healthy and everything, but you might not necessarily have the same opinions. But it's always managing. Yeah, I think a large part of it is managing your own emotions, but also having a lot of empathy for the other person. Definitely. If you really try to put heart into understanding what that person is thinking and going through, then you forget about your own emotions a little bit, and it's a lot easier to have those harder conversations, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I mean that's it. So World Cup, who are you rooting for?
Korea did really well today.
How did they tie? Did they tie?
Yeah, they tied. I mean, Korea they don't have as strong of striking force.
Is
Son's there.
Injured?
Or no, he's
okay.
there. He's playing.
Okay.
But there's only so much you can do against like 5 defenders.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was really surprised about their passing.
Really?
They're really good.
Oh, wow.
They know how to keep the ball when they have the ball.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're really good.
That's something I never saw before. that's a huge progress.
Really good. What I see on the pitch is that they're really united.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Japan has a very different form of united.
Oh, Japan was interesting for me because like
you watched the whole game.
I watched. My wife was watching because I kind of
second half, right? You watched it. Yeah.
They were very like defensive, but at the same time, when they were attacking, they weren't that nervous.
Yeah,
that's something I didn't see before.
Well, it's very Japanese of them too. They're very calculated.
Yeah,
that was their whole strategy going
into
the game.
Yeah.
Defend, find opportunities to attack. And I thought, I was screaming when he scored the second one. Oh my God! Germany lost. By myself, sitting in front of the computer like a weirdo. But yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, their jersey's sick too. Got it from there. The manga.
Oh yeah,
forgot
I
what it's
didn't know
called.
that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But that shows their nationalist, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
national values.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cultural values.
Who am I? I think those. I mean, I'm rooting for a lot of teams. I mean, obviously Portugal because it's Ronaldo's last.
That's cup.
I mean, you have a more I think deeper
Yeah.
childhood experience with Ronaldo,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I do too. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's like what we grew up watching this whole time, and it's finally coming to an end of this era of Ronaldo. So I can't help to just watch and hope for the best. Messi, I don't know, not as much. For some reason, I'm more connected to Ronaldo. Obviously, people have their own opinions and all the stuff that has been happening with with his whole career of leaving United and just a really messy situation. But at the end of the day, like he's one of the best in the football, soccer industry. So just exciting to watch. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, the games are so exciting. It's like there's a lot of upsets. Where's Messi? So it's fun. But I don't have like one particular team that I'm like, yeah, they have to win.
Yeah,
What about
I mean,
you?
for me too, I don't really follow soccer, but it's
I follow.
bittersweet moment for me to see Ronaldo kind of retire almost. Yeah, like when I was in high school, that's all I watched. Cristiano Ronaldo and Ronaldinho. That's it. Like their dribbling skills. I went in the backyard, tried to practice that every day for 3 hours. And yeah, I had really a lot of fun. I think that's where I kind of learned tenacity too, through soccer and a little bit of martial arts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bittersweet moment for me because that was really like a highlight of my high school year too, like learning those skills. I didn't so well on real games, but I learned those dribbling skills.
I still remember that header. It's like, wow, we were practicing that over the weekend.
Yeah. That one goal, right?
Yeah, like I would kick him all the passes, right, all the crosses, and he would just practice the header. And wow, it actually works in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like our childhood was that.
Yeah,
Soccer.
Yeah, soccer was a big part.
And just practicing for 6 hours for no reason with brothers.
Yeah, it was fun though. It's a lot of family time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, in Germany, fucking walking. Do you know how many miles we walked to that big soccer
No,
field?
I went. Did you go back there
No.
in Flörsheim? No.
No.
Yeah, I walked back when I grew a little bit because we were there when I was like 13,
Yeah, middle school.
middle school.
I was a child.
And he was like 5?
Daniel was even younger.
We were really young, and we had a soccer field like a little bit far out, but I think
Yeah.
it's only a mile and a half.
Is that real?
Yeah, but it felt so long for us.
Dude, it took us 40 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah,
Bro.
because our legs were short. So
Yeah, I was 7.
yeah, it was good.
I'm like, why can't we just play in the field right in front of it? And I still have this characteristic in my personality. Why don't we just take the easy way out? Why are we going the wrong way?
because it's better.
It is better.
Yeah,
But the walk home was really long.
it was long, but it was good moments. Yeah,
Yeah, lots of memories.
yeah.
See. See. Is that it?
Yep, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for this long ass show.
Yes.
Talk about a lot of stuff, but hopefully we continue to talk about our marketing and our experiences.
Yeah, I think this is a good way.
Yeah.
To approach. Thank you. Bye bye.